Hello students, so today we are going to start with chapter 12, Introduction to Internet. We are more or less familiar with the internet system, and we use it regularly to gain information, share information with others throughout the world. So let's start with some of the small things, and whatever the next chapter 12, 13 and 14 will, all these chapters are very simple chapters, and we are just going to browse through all these chapters. Okay, so now let's discuss about the applications. We know that internet is available everywhere nowadays. We use mobile data, broadband, whatever is there, to use it for education purposes, and during this time we are mostly using it for education purposes. We like to send emails, we like to conduct businesses online. We use e-commerce systems, media and entertainment. We also are very much familiar with social networking systems. We are definitely familiar with different forums online, and we can also check out health and fitness online as well. Now let us discuss about some of the disadvantages. There are, if our system is not protected by an antivirus, it definitely can get infected while we are online. Virus threats, there we can get spams as well. Cybercrime is committed, as well as cyber terrorism, and some people, those who have nothing to do, they waste their time online. Now, what is World Wide Web? In the previous chapters, in the internet chapters, we learned that internet means that it is a connection of different networks. That means network of networks is called internet. So we definitely call it web, and it consists of web pages, like bunch of pages, just like a book of pages in a book. It also contains different documents online, and it can contain text, it can contain graphic, audio and others, and even links to other web pages as well. So it actually uses HTTP for transmission of all the documents or all the web pages online. Now, to view all these kind of documents, we need web browsers, and without web browsers we won't be able to use any kind of, or we won't be able to visit any kind of web pages as well. Some of the popular web browsers are listed over here. That is Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Apple Safari, Microsoft Edge, Opera, and our old Microsoft Internet Explorer. So it is one of the means these kind of web browsers are more or less used every day, and there are some other browsers as well that are less popular, but still people use it. So now, what is a website? We can call that a website is a collection of related web pages. Like, just think about Amazon. Amazon is a platform for buying products, so it contains images, videos, and even some other forms of digital media to display its products, and the pages are written using HTML, and we learned HTML in class 8. So it stands for hypertext markup language, and also some other advanced systems, like it uses JavaScript, it uses CSS to design the pages, and so many other things. Usually the components of a website are domain name, web host, site files, and the content management system. Usually a website, to create a proper website, we need all these four things, and then only we will be able to create a proper website. Now, what is a web page? Now, web page is something that is like a digital page. Okay, like a digital page of a book. We can consider website as a book, and a web page as a book in it, as a page in that book. So a page can contain so many kinds of, it can contain text, it can contain images, audio, video, or even other links, or links to other pages also. So these pages are usually created by using HTML, and any web browser can be used to view this kind of web pages. And there are unique addresses to these web pages, and we call them uniform resource locators. So what are the elements in a web page? The page title, the header area, the navigation menu, content area, and the footer. So these are the things that are there in a web page, and there are two types of web pages: static and dynamic. Static means it does not respond to our things, it does not interact, we are unable to interact with static web pages. But whereas we can interact definitely with dynamic web pages, like think about the magnifying glass that is there on Amazon web store. So if we just move our mouse over the picture over there, we are able to magnify the image of a product very easily. So this is one of the example of dynamic web page, that is, we are able to interact with this kind of pages. Now, what are the differences between a web page and a website? So our website is collection of web pages. Now web pages are connected to each other by links. It contains information on various subjects, but the related topics that are given on our website. So usually web page is a single page where a particular or specific information is given, but a website is a collection of all the pages in that. You can consider it as a book, a website. Now what are protocols? Protocols are some set of rules. We have already studied these things previously also, that these are some set of rules that are required while we communicate with data on the communicate and transfer data on the internet, and that usually there are definite rules along with it, and whatever data we are transmitting online, we need to follow this kind of rules. And one of such rules is hypertext transfer protocol. It is a protocol that is used to transmit hypermedia documents such as an HTML document. It is used to transfer HTML documents from web servers and browsers. So what does browsers do? Browsers request for web pages to web servers, and web servers respond to their request by sending the web pages to the browsers. Now what is on home page? Usually the first page whenever we open a website, the page that opens to us, we call that a home page. Now let us discuss about uniform resource locator. So what is uniform resource locator? Using the URL, it is the unique address of every website, or we can call it, it is a unique address that is assigned to a computer or a server on the internet, and instead of using just the numeric values that are there in an IP address, we use a name so that we can definitely check out the particular name easily. So let us discuss about protocol identifier. So what is it? It tells the internet browser that what protocol needs to be followed to access the website. Of course, now let us check about this, that HTTP. Whenever we are accessing a website, we see it is written HTTP. That means it follows hypertext transfer protocol. Now if it is written HTTPS, that means the website must be opened in a secured format, so that the information that is being transferred over the internet remains secured. Like if we want to log into Facebook, it is https www.facebook.com. So therefore with this address we can definitely understand that the page we are in is a secure, and whenever we are logging into that website, we are having a secure login procedure. Now a resource name, it specifies the complete address of the resource on the internet. So whenever we say as we can see HTTP, it's the protocol part, and whenever we are saying www.mygov.in, the example that is given, so we can say that is the resource name that we have. So this ends this particular chapter. Now moving on to the next chapter, chapter 13, it's introduction to email. We are very much familiar with email, and in today's world email is the only thing that we can actually quickly send mails to. On previously emails, instead of emails, there were only slain mails, so it would take time, a lot of time, to send a particular mail or a message to someone. But all the official works are being done based on email nowadays. Now what are the applications? Now cost of sending an electronic message is nominal. It means actually it does not cost anything, only your data, and that also maybe some in KBs or something, maybe 1 or 2 MBs like that. And usually the messages are sent and received instantly within 1 or 2 minutes. They are received on the other end once you send the message. Even though this is little bit slower than instant messaging, but still they can be used for some official purposes as well. They never get lost. Okay, until and unless you provide a wrong address, they never get lost. And if you provide a wrong address, if it does not exist, it is going to return back to you. It is not going to go anywhere somewhere else. So if you provide a correct address, it is going to reach the correct address. If you provide something incorrect, it is going to return back to you. Now it always allows us to be in touch with people that we are always in. Maybe we do not interact with people in too many social media websites, but we can definitely keep a check on our own people with emails. So with emails we can attach audio, video files along with it. But even though there is a limitation of maybe 25 MB for Google, but also along with it we can send links to Google Drives through email, using which we can send a large amount of data to some person. Now usually whatever forms we get for instant messaging, we also get for emails, like forwarding messages, replying, deleting, saving the receipt messages, printing the messages. We can definitely print emails. So these are the things that can be done with email. Now usually an email consists of so many other things. So suppose when we start typing in an email, we definitely get some of the tools that help us in typing the email, so that we can properly italize some important words or put some words in bold. We can color some letters, we can put emojis in it, so that we let people know what we are trying to say. Now without customer verifications, you cannot do anything. So suppose you are logging into Amazon.com for the first time, you are creating an account in it. So it is definitely going to ask you for an email address, that because Amazon usually contacts a customer through the email address. So whenever you buy things, it is going to say to you that yes, you have, this is your order number, this is going to reach to you by this day, and they are going to forward an email to you. So in that case, whenever we are logging into something, they will definitely ask you to verify that the email address you provided, that it is you or not. So they may send you an OTP to enter in your email, so that after you receive that OTP, you enter it in a secure place, and Amazon is going to confirm that yes, you are that correct person, whoever is logging into that particular website. Now it can be accessed anywhere, anytime, from any kind of device. This is the best thing that email can have. We can use a computer, desktop, tablet, the phone, whatever devices we have, we can access our email. Now what is an email account? Usually it is an electronic mailbox. We usually have mailboxes at home, but this is an electronic mailbox, and it acts as it has a virtual address to it. That is, our email address is the virtual address to it, and it is provided by some particular company. That for Gmail, it is provided by Google. That particular domain is provided by Google, and it helps, and we can set up our services according to that. We can create our own username and password and proper email settings, so we can download those mails, and then we can, and to download, specifically if we want to download the mails, we need to use an offline email application, so that we can use our emails without even internet also. An email address. What does an email address contain? So an email address consists of two parts. We have, usually that is separated by @ symbol. So the first part is a username, then we have the @ symbol, then we have the domain name, and usually the domain extension. That is, so for suppose if you are writing, as you can see, that it's the example over here is given as Kip's Publishing World @gmail.com. So that therefore Kip's Publishing World, this is the username, and gmail.com is the domain name along with the extension. Com extension means it's commercial. So these are the things that an email consists of. Now let's talk about some of the email programs. So as you can see over here, that these email can be used from our computer as well. We can install our email service providing application, and we can use it to connect to multiple web-based email services. But if we want to use a browser to access our emails, we can definitely do that, and we can use or we can get email IDs from Gmail, Yahoo, MSN, and some other web providers as well. But these are one of the free web-based email services. So once you create a Gmail account, Google is giving you a mail account using which you can definitely send mails, and also you get a 15 GB of drive storage where you can store some of the data that you actually need all the time. Similarly, all the other email they also provide you with certain amount of storage. Next, moving on, that what are the email, what is the format of an email message? So there is a from whom you are receiving it, or usually if you want to send it, your name will be there in the from. In the to option, you have to enter the address of the recipient to whom you are sending the mail. There is a subject. We should usually name the subject, that what is the topic of the message In the CC usually stands for carbon copy. You usually we enter the email addresses to which the copy of this mail will be sent. Next we have blind carbon copy. It is like CC, but whoever the recipient is, they are not going to know, or the other recipients, who are the other recipients. So suppose I am sending a mail to all of you, and if I use CC, you all will be able to know that yes, I have sent the mail to each other. But if I send it using a BCC, then none of you will be able to know that I have sent a mail to the other person or not. And then the message body, which is going to contain the message itself. So this is something we can do using, or this is the format of an email message. At this point I am not showing how to create an email account. You are all familiar with this part, because you all know how to do it directly from your Android phone, Google phone. Just you can create an account very easily. Now what are the parts inside of where do we receive our emails? We receive all our emails in the inbox section. In the inbox section we receive all the mails that are there. But in the, suppose if you receive a fake email or a email that may contain some suspicious elements, automatically Google is going to filter it, and they are going to send it to the spam folder, and Google deletes all the spam emails every 30 days. Once it collects whatever mail is going there, it is going to delete everything. Now how to write an email? Usually in a Gmail account you see a plus sign. If you are using a mobile phone, you see a plus sign over there. We can start typing the email directly from over there, and there are two sections where we can easily write. By default our email address is always selected. Whichever account we are using, automatically it is selected, so we do not need to type the from, but we can definitely select. If we use multiple email addresses, we can select it from the drop down menu in the Gmail account there. So we can select it from there. Next, in the to section you have to write the recipient's address, and if you want to send the carbon copy or a blind carbon copy, you can you can enter email addresses there. But if not, you do not need to enter anything in that thing. But definitely you need to give a subject and then type in the message. If you want to attach a file with it, you can definitely attach a file, and mostly the maximum size of that file is 25 MB. Once you click on the attach button, our web browser is going to open, where using which you can browse to the selected file, whatever in the, maybe those files are in your documents folder. If you are on music files are stored in audio, audios also can be sent. So definitely you can select any type of file, and before sending the file, remember, if the email is processed by Google, so suppose if you are sending an executable file that might contain some viruses, or if your computer is infected with viruses, and if the file is infected with viruses, then Google will stop sending, and it will say that unable to attach the file. In that case, you can definitely attach a different kind of file, and you will also know that that file may contain some kind of suspicious element. Now how can we reply or forward an email? So there is a definite, we all know how to reply in WhatsApp, and in the same way there is a reply button in Gmail also, and there is a forward button in Gmail also, by using which we can definitely just click on the forward button, enter the person's email address, and click on send, and the mail will be forwarded to that person. So this is as simple as possible, and nowadays everyone, and I know all of you are able to do this, so I'm not demonstrating to you how to do this. We'll discuss, and if you have any doubt, you can definitely ask me. Okay, now let's move on to the next chapter, that is introduction to social media. We are very much familiar with the most popular social media that we have is WhatsApp, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. These are the foremost, and even Instagram is also there, where people post pictures and activities and so many things about their life on the social media. Now what are the features that are available on social media? We build our digital profile on social media. It has a simple interface. It has lots of galleries. We can build photo albums, we can create communities, we can converse with lots of people, we can tag people, we can tag pictures with people, and whatever activity we are doing, we can keep a record of it, and we can also receive email alerts that how many people are responding to our posts or something. We definitely get email alerts, and as well as real-time updates. So there are lots of things that we can do. And usually you get a free web address from social media, where if you use that web address, you can share that web address where people can definitely directly go to your web page and see whatever you're doing. Now, what are some of there are also some merits and demerits to these things. Okay, now we can reach people easily, we can reach a lot of people easily, we can easily create new connections through it. We can promote businesses to it, we can do some advertisements, and even we can even spread information very fast on an social media. Now the demerits are a little bit more than the merits over here, that it is cyberbullying can be done. Some people may usually bully other people's online. They people those who are spending a lot of time on social media, they spend very less real time with real life interaction. People get addicted, they continue to watch videos on YouTube. People throughout the years have posted videos, and some people, those who are on the Facebook, they continue to watch videos throughout the day. And if there is no way to verify any kind of information on social media, and hence what happens is that if we usually we may get misleading information, fake information over it, and definitely there is misuse of information over there. There can be, people can create fake profiles. There is no way of verifying whether the system is as such that anyone can create a profile, right? So they need only an email ID and a phone number. Maybe even the phone number is not sometimes required, just an email ID is more than enough. So to create a fake account for someone is very easy over there. And whenever lots of people around us are doing so what we are working on social media, they discuss social media a lot. People those who are not using them, they feel that they are being left alone on something. So this kind of creates a pressure on them that those who are on social media, they are more better people, or they are more cool in working with people, or they are more interacting more with people. But that isn't true, and we should be really careful when using social media. Now let's talk about blogs. And a blog is like a website that we can create very easily, and blogger.com is something that is provided by Google, and you can have your own web address within minutes, and you can use it to interact with lots and lots of people throughout the world. So suppose you want to create a blog, and after you create a blog, what you can do is you can write something on a topic, and people throughout the world can comment on it. And the more and more people visit your blog, what's going to happen is that it is going to be indexed by Google, so that when some people search on that topic on Google, they will be getting your blogs as well. Okay, now there are different types of blogs. There are personal blogs where people write about their own, company blogs where company details are given, non-profit blogs that do not usually have any kind of advertisement. Political blogs are there where different political parties like to spread their propaganda through it. News and views blog, of course, there are lots of freelancing journalists, those who have their own websites and they like to write their own news. They do not work under any kind of media houses, but they have their own news outlets on the internet. And we have microblogging, and the best example of microblogging is Twitter. So this is something that not only is a social networking system, but also microblogging, that people write tweets, people do things, and specifically they talk on the varieties of subjects. Maybe some people like to talk on single type of subjects that are related with their field, but still they do talk about each and every thing that is there. So someone that people even sometimes quarrel on Twitter, and mostly nowadays we see people quarreling on Twitter on each and everything that they see. So once we create a Twitter account, we usually have a Twitter handle with the starting @ symbol, and then the username is followed. So tweets are like simple messages or short messages. They are called tweets. And to replace Twitter, India has bought another app called Koo. That app is also similar to Twitter, where small messages can be shared. Previously The messages were usually of 140 characters. Now it has doubled in Twitter as well in other microblogging websites that or social media platforms, that we can easily send something to through total world is going to know about this. Now let's talk about hashtags. Usually hashtags are some of very important catchphrases that are used to trend something on the online. So whenever it's for example, Mumbai underwater, hashtag Mumbai underwater, everyone is using that, and that means if we search by using that hashtag, we will be getting all the related news according to that. Okay, so this can be definitely done. People also follow each other. They can simply follow personality, any kind of people on internet, so they can connect with other people, and the following them on Twitter and tweet again with them. They can send direct messages to them. Even there is a Twitter feed or a timeline that is having usually gives an ongoing stream of tweets that usually a user follows. And something Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, I usually do not need to, I think, explain these things. People use Facebook a lot. Facebook has a friend list. There is a wall over there where people post anything. They can post their own views, they post family pictures and lots of things with their world. They do have even a virtual photo album online, where we whenever suppose we are posting a lots of pictures online, we can keep them separated in albums, like different folders for different type of pictures. We definitely provide we can provide a status updates to people, that how what we are doing and all, and the similar status updates can be given from like story in forms of stories, in forms of status updates in WhatsApp. We can definitely give them. Usually they stand there for 24 hours. Even there are Facebook pages. Usually it is used and designed for businesses, and they like to publish content on the online using Facebook pages. You can be directly connected with news feeds of different news channels, those who are using Facebook, like let's take CNN and BBC. These news, you can get direct news from there if you connect with them with the news feed. And as well as there are privacy controls as well. So if you do not want anyone and everyone to get you on the internet, you can definitely customize your privacy control systems to keep this system and keep out that only whatever you post, everything will be seen only by your friends, and no other people can be seen no other people will see it or even reply to it. Next we have YouTube. This is the world's largest video sharing website. You get a lot of videos over here. Even I am sharing this video in through YouTube. So therefore YouTube can have a lot of applications, and they are going to create it helps them to, usually the limit for YouTube video is 12 hours. They usually provide a 12-hour video or 12-hour long video in it, and a lot of videos can be found on them. People share training videos, educational videos, funny videos, and lots of videos are being shared over there. Even if you have you can create your own playlist. You can like videos, you can dislike videos, you can check out how many people are watching your videos through the analysis of things. And you can even also secure, and if suppose you do not like a channel, you can say to YouTube that do not recommend this kind of channel, and YouTube usually uses AI to recommend videos to you. So this is something that we can definitely, we all know about YouTube and WhatsApp, and I really do not need to anything explain with this particular app. So this is something that it is one of the most popular messaging application, and usually we can do calling over the internet. Even not only voice calling, video calling is also supported by this. We can share files and media through this, and nowadays we can also send money through WhatsApp. People use WhatsApp for businesses and so on. And usually we can definitely have different forms of text that we can use these different forms of space in WhatsApp. So there are similar kinds of chatting applications like Telegram, Signal, and people like to have an end-to-end security. That is what WhatsApp is providing. They are providing secure communication between two people. So this ends this chapter over here, and this ends our syllabus also over here. So in the next class we will be discussing some of the facilities, or we will be discussing some of the things, or we will be discussing some more important things in live class. Thank you.